Welcome, everyone, to episode 130 of 1 Hour, 1 Decision, 1H1D. I'm Chris.
And I am Tom.
And we take 60 minutes and play a random game on Xbox Game Pass and decide, well, are rubber bandits worth our time?
How do you feel about rubber banding in a racing game?
I don't like that at all.
Me
Diablo
neither.
does too. It's not great. But this episode, we're going to be talking about Rubber Bandits, not Rubber Banding, by Flashbulb.
One
This
Flashbulb made a whole game. That's crazy.
One Flashbulb made a whole game. And this game came out back in December of 2021. And I played this on the PC. 1.47 gigabytes on the PC. Tom, what about you?
For shame, 300 megabytes larger on the Xbox Series S, 1.8 gigabytes there.
That Rubber Bandit was definitely expanding on the Xbox or something. Being stretched out. I don't know. Anyway,
Stretched out. Yeah. Stretched. There was something there.
There's something there. But what else is there? What kind of game is this?
I put physics-based multiplayer action, but you have something different.
Yeah, I put third-person physics-based party brawler.
I'll give you that.
Because you're definitely brawling in the third person using some physics.
It definitely would be best suited as a party game, which we'll get to.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of, what is the game loop there, Chris?
The game loop, Thomas, is compete against others to complete objectives.
Yes, but I took it a step further and I put compete in mini games to get to 21 points before the other players do.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Although I feel like I was in a couple of rounds where it went to 25. I'm not entirely sure.
Maybe people tied.
That might.
And then you need like a tiebreaker.
Yeah. I like how we kind of flip flopped in terms of description length here.
Yes.
What else do we like though about this game?
I would say the controls are very simple. There are not a whole lot of buttons. I just put 4 buttons here.
Yep.
And the game teaches you how to play very quickly in like an opening prologue type thing.
Yeah.
That's just like, it's like a couple of minutes tops. And like you right away understand how to play this game. So
yeah,
very pick up and play.
Definitely. And I was very surprised because I fired up the game and I think it just lands you right into this, right? It's not even like a menu, nothing. Nope. You just boom, here you are. Here's your rubber bandit. Figure it out. Well, not figure it out, but it like you said, they guide you through how to play the game immediately. So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I think if you can look at your controller and see the buttons and then look at the screen, you can figure this out.
Yeah, exactly. So that's great. And I agree with you. And I also want to say this game has some pretty cute / silly art style.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It gives me a Fall Guys and almost a, what's the other one that everyone... Like the game that we play, Human Fall Flat.
Yep.
Which I mean, again, another physics-based game, and then I think the other one's Gang Beasts. Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
Gang Beasts.
You're right. Yeah.
So yeah, it's got all that kind of mixed in with its look and feel. So yeah, I thought that was nice, and I think that because it is this a physics-based game. It's got some silly physics, some ridiculous physics that you deal with. So I love the fact that when you are finished with a particular game, how you can beat each other with the suitcases. It's just flinging suitcases at each other and just nonsense that happens after the match is completed.
Yeah,
but
there's like a little cool down period before the next round starts, and you could just wail on each other and just be silly.
And in that sense, I feel like these kind of silly games need to have good sound effects, like if the hits don't feel or sound like a nice thud to them, the funny thuds, then I don't think it would have been as funny to play this game.
Yeah, it won't land the same way. I agree with you 100%. I appreciated that humor just in general carries through a lot of the game, and you have it like in the loading screens.
Yeah,
like just to help, if you're dealing with loading screens, which you will because you're constantly switching maps and things like that.
Yep.
It helps to distract you from those loading screens that they have, funny little blurbs, in there.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think we both have this here, but the fact that there are multiple modes, I think that's a
plus. Yeah, good variety of game modes, weapons, levels, like.
Oh yeah.
And so the consequences when you put those things together, they can be put together many different ways.
Yes. Yeah. And speaking of many different ways, I like the fact it's kind of like a nod to us. There's a random button here.
Yeah.
Surprise. There's a little surprise button here to figure out what game you want to play. So, and the way that the random works, especially when we're playing online, is everyone has to. Well, not necessarily. That's not true. You vote by selecting one of the games, or everyone lands on one, and then that wins the particular thing. But then there's a kind of like a round robin thing that happens, and then But I thought that's kind of interesting because even though like there might be majority in a particular button, it could still fall to the game that's not necessarily has the most votes. So
yeah, it's a eeny meeny miny mo,
yes.
And if 3 people are on one thing and you have a minority over here who really wants to play that other map, that person has a 1 in 4 chance of getting what they want. So
yeah, that's kind of neat. And you touched on this already. Weapons, like I believe there's a gun that shoots rope.
Yes,
like that. There's a rope gun.
Ties people up.
Yeah, lightsabers. I believe grenade launchers and rocket launchers. That kind of stuff is there. Pistols, explosives. The other thing that of course, there are melee weapons and stuff like that you can throw. Just random objects like chairs and tables. And the one thing I also kind of appreciated was the rounds are very short.
Yeah, depending on the game mode you're playing. Yes,
right. Like they're not too long. So you don't. Each round doesn't overstay its welcome. But I appreciated that because then it just kept it felt like the game had momentum. Like it was just. I don't know how else to feel. Like it just felt fast. Didn't feel like I'm dragging through a game or particular match or something like that. So
it certainly does. I want to point out also that there is like an arcade mode to let you practice. So if you feel like maybe you jump into the online mode, you get your butt handed to you. You can go into a practice mode and like play through stages and learn the stages, learn the items and that sort of stuff. And there's also a practice room where you can like spawn the different weapons and things like that. And you can learn how each of them works in a vacuum, without having to deal with the stress of other players or your inability to get to the item. So you never know what it's actually, or maybe you're just unlucky and it never spawns, so.
True. Okay. Anything else here on your likes or? Move on to
I think I am ready to talk about things I did not like.
Okay, why don't you go ahead then?
Well, we've played a couple of these games where you have to like jump through a whole bunch of hoops to start the game, and this is one of those where you've got to read a bunch of EULAs, you've got to hit OK to a whole bunch of different options and things.
Yep,
and then you get landed in this mode where you have to play through it and learn the game before you even get to the ability to, start a game and be in the hub world. So there's like this weird like load up phase before you actually get to the game proper. That's all mandatory. So
yes,
Yeah.
And I initially with those EULAs and agreements that you had to click on, I clicked on no just to see what the heck would happen because I thought, I was like, okay, the hub area for me initially was like a little confusing because I thought that there was I didn't realize the single player mode was essentially like kind of thrown to the side, which, in hindsight makes more sense because, they want you to play. Yeah. They want you to play multiplayer, stuff like that. So, but I was just confused because like I would try to go through that middle room and it kept saying like, oh, you need to accept the online agreement. I was like, oh, all right. Because the other thing is there's a toggle, right? There's like an offline and online mode. So I was like, okay, well, I want to play offline and see what the heck this is. So, but anyway, long story short, I eventually did get accept everything so I can start a match online. But it was a little confusing, and especially since you've got this jiggly character that you have to waddle through the entire hub area. So that was kind of annoying.
Yeah. Speaking of other things that are annoying, if you're playing online and your host disconnects, I had that happen a couple of times. Yep. The game just kind of ends abruptly. It tries to reconnect and pick a new host, but you lose your progress on that map.
Yeah.
So it'll remember, whatever points you had scored so far getting up to that map. But then it's just like you're back at the stage select screen and you got to pick a new stage. And it happened to me a couple of times, I guess.
Right.
It's weird to me that it's a individual hosting and then it's not being hosted on a centralized server.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like a lot of these games, so that they don't become like Knockout City and die a sudden death, they offload the server side stuff to the clients, being you, the player. So they don't have to worry about hosting servers and whatnot. So, I mean, I like these games, I do, but I stink at them, and this just constantly reminded me of that, because as I was playing online, I was just getting constantly wrecked by people, and I'm like, my God, like what is going? Like, how often are these people playing this game? But then again, I looked at it, and it's been out for a little bit of time, so
yeah,
they've had time to just.
The player base may be all mostly veterans, depending on what time you're playing.
Exactly. So. I mean, that's just a dislike for me, but I guess it's more about my dislike.
You know what though? I can segue that into a more general dislike, which for me, and I think probably for a lot of people, is there are a lot of different modes. There's a lot of things, especially if you've only got an hour, that you want to try.
Right.
And if you're playing online, you can get stuck playing the same mode over and over and over and over again, because the three other people you're playing with all want to just do the standard brawl. And, you have a 25% chance of getting what you want, but there's a 75% chance that you're doing what they want. So
yeah, it's true. Of the modes, which one did you like the most?
I like the keep away piggy one, because it reminds me of like a Mario Shine Thief, like Mario Kart, which was always a really good one. They have like the standard, like you have 3 lives, beat each other up one, which seems to be very popular. I like the one that beat up the coppers one. I like that there was variety. How about you?
I want to say I liked the heist mode, but then I was terrible at it, because I would be like, yes, I got all the money, and then I'm going to the escape route, and then some guy like no scope 360 kills me right before I get to that finish line. So it was kind of frustrating for sure to get to that point. And again, like you said, depending on when you play it, you might be playing with a bunch of pros. So frustrating. But I have to also say, I know you touched on the arcade mode and your likes. I have to say, I mean, I appreciate that there's that mode, but when you're playing it solo, it's like incredibly easy.
Yes,
even for me. Maybe that's the purpose, but I feel like it wasn't a good representation of the actual game.
To me, it also felt kind of endless, because you don't know what you're signing up for when you start.
Right.
Like, that's the kind of thing where it should say, like, you start it up and it goes, how many rounds do you want to play? 3, 5, 10, but it doesn't. And it's like 20 rounds. Like, it's
it just keeps going.
It just keeps going. And if you back out, it's not like it remembers your progress and you jump back in on level 5. Like,
oh, really? You start all the way over?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I did. You see, I ended my playthrough with this mode thinking, oh, I can go back to it later if I wanted to actually finish it. But well, that's disappointing.
Yeah, because it's not saving your progress.
Right. I mean, you would think when you see a level with a check mark on it that, all right, that's done. You don't have to do it again. But now I feel slighted. So it's what it is.
Sorry.
Yeah.
The last thing I have on mine in terms of my dislikes is, this is an online multiplayer game. No big surprise. We've said it a bunch of times, but it really doesn't feel like there's any permanent progression. Like, okay, you get some points or whatever, and you can jazz up your dude a little bit in the same way that Fall Guys is or whatever. But it just all feels kind of pointless to me. It does.
I agree. I mean, I don't know if their play was to get the on the back end, get the money with the cosmetics and stuff like that. But I mean, I'm glad it's not pay to win.
Yes.
At the same time, I agree with you. It's like, okay, I get a new skin. I did end up making my guy look like Grimace, which is fun. But but yeah, that was that was about it. But it's one of those types of games where you just kind of go around and fart around with your friends or random people on the internet. So
yeah,
which
guess.
by the way, I forgot to say this as a like. There is couch co-op in this game.
Yes.
So
this definitely feels like the kind of game that would be better couch co-op. Yeah. In the same way that, in my opinion, something like Smash Brothers is a much better game couch.
Right.
Like you could play online with a bunch of randos, but
yeah,
it's more fun to beat up your friends.
Yeah, beat up your friends and then talk smack to them too. So yeah, it is what it is. But anything else there, Tom? I think that was your last thing, right? And that's
it is. I'm ready to.
Yeah. So this game, like I mentioned, has online and couch co-op and brawling. Woo. It's because you are fighting each other for the most part. I don't know if there's a team mode, but anyway, it wasn't part of my playthrough, and that's fine. But this game is also cross-platform, so PC, Xbox, all those folks can play together, which is impressive for what it is. And this game does have Xbox Cloud saves. And get this, Tom, How Long to Beat says this game can be beaten in 1 hour. The single player mode can be beaten in 1 hour.
Yeah, it's probably less than that.
Yeah, so neither one of us did that, but because we were going about with the other modes in this game. But yeah, that I thought that was interesting to hear that this game could be beaten in an hour. So
that's great. That sounds great for people like us.
Yeah, yes, indeed. And what else there, Tom?
No, I was going to say I have the same note here that is available on all platforms: PC, PlayStation, Switch, and Xbox, and that you can play across all of them, which is great.
Yeah.
I also wanted to point out that Flashbulb is located in Denmark, and their previous title is another physics-based game, which is also on Xbox Game Pass, and that is called Trailmakers. So if you've ever seen the advertising for that, like build your vehicle Lego looking kind of thing, that's these guys too. So that was their prior game.
Do you drive it in a particular circuit or something, or like is it like BattleBot style?
It's like an open world build your own vehicle explorer. Kind of thing, sandboxy.
I wish someone would make like a Twisted Metal style game.
Oh yeah,
like a Twisted Metal style like vehicle construction game. Like that'd be kind of cool,
And then you could run around, beat each other up, and like knock parts off.
Right, you're right. You knock parts off. You gain those parts for yourself. I mean, that could be very toxic for sure, because there could be really good players that just steal everything, and then you're left with a water gun while they have rocket launchers or something like that. But
well, you could drive around a map maybe and pick up new pieces.
Yeah, that's true.
When you get blown up, you can reslot. Yeah, we're building a game right here.
We're building a game. Write this down, folks. We just gave you a game idea. But we need to give everyone now our final thoughts, don't we, Tom?
Yes. But before we do that, Chris.
Yes. Before we do that, I do want to thank our sponsors, cdkeys.com, for all their support. And you can support us also by clicking on the link in the description below on YouTube or on the podcast, audio podcast, and checking out all the cool stuff the CD Keys has. They've got, again, like you mentioned, Game Pass stuff, Game Pass subscriptions. They've got lovely games, not just on Xbox, but PlayStation and PC, and maybe Switch. I don't know. I have to check
you know what our listeners can do is go check that link and find out for themselves.
Yeah, they should do that. So check it out. So do a little homework for you guys, please. Do it. Do us a favor and do yourself a favor and save some money on these games, because games are getting expensive. But anyway, let's get those thoughts in, shall we?
So I touched on it before. This game borrows a lot from games like Smash Brothers, Mario Party. And I think just like those games, I have no desire to play it online with internet randoms. I just don't. I have no desire to play online with internet randos. So if that's what this is going to do, I'm not playing it anymore.
Well, would you leave it on your console to potentially play with friends that come over?
Yes, because it's not very large.
Yeah, it's not very big.
Until I run out of space or it gets pulled from Game Pass.
Right.
It can hang out there. Sure, why not?
Yeah. Yeah, for me, this game was fun. I did have fun, even playing with the internet randos that were, stomping my face in. but I can also see my kids enjoying this game.
Oh yeah.
And having a good, or like just having, like you said, having friends over like on a random Friday night and playing it, just bringing it out, playing for an hour, beating it like that. I don't know, but I think I'm going to keep it as well. Just keep it there. It's not like a not very large game, so why not?
Yeah, and you have tons of space on that PC of yours.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes until maybe Starfield comes out. But those are our thoughts. Let us know what you think of this game. Follow us and say hello on Twitter at TC1H1D, or shoot us an email at TC1H1D@outlook.com. Check out our next streams on Twitch at twitch.tv/1H1D. And hey, you know what? I've been adding like some questions in our Spotify. If you're listening to this on Spotify, hey, why don't you respond to those questions and maybe we'll read them back on here. I don't know. But 1H1D is part of that QTB network. So if you want any other really cool gaming content, not just podcasts, but like I said, Twitch streams and articles and all that stuff, check it out at quitthebuild.com/network. Tom.
Yes. There is one last thing before we let them go.
Indeed. It is that surprise me button. So it is going to help us find out what we're playing next. So here we go. Oh, okay. Chicory, a colorful tale.
Well, it sounds delightful. I don't know what it is, but it sounds like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, maybe it is, and hopefully we'll have a good time with it. And until then, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in, and we will catch you for the next one.
Thanks, everybody.